Have you ever been stuck in traffic for so long that you started questioning all your life decisions? Or have you walked in 42 degrees Celsius heat and thought that is the sun angry on us or what? Or have you waited for a bus for 40 minutes that never showed up and then you thought who planned this city? Thanos? Now imagine if cities could actually heal the planet instead of giving us lung damage and existential crisis. Imagine a city where you don't need cars to survive, buildings clean the air, and well, rivers, they are blue and not grey. And here's the exciting part. If you're someone looking for your first job in ESG or sustainability, this is one of the most rising job opportunities right now, especially in developing countries like India. Because cities of the future need passionate people exactly like you, from researchers, data analysts, building scientists, GIS mappers, climate practitioners. Yes, these are real jobs with real salaries and not something imaginary like professional Netflix watchers. So today we are going to talk about how cities can heal the planet, walk through some real examples of cities around the world that are actually taking a step towards sustainability, and what career options exist in sustainable urban development so that you can be 2 steps ahead of your peers. So watch the full video till the end to know more about sustainable urban planning and how you can make a career out of it. Hello everyone, welcome back to Gen Sustainable, the place where we have sustainability facts, dark humor, and real career guidance for young professionals who want to make a difference for the planet while having a great career. And in today's video, we are going to discuss something which is super exciting, that is cities of the future. And don't worry, we are not going to talk something imaginary sci-fi like flying cars, but we are actually going to talk about real sustainable cities that can actually save the planet with the help of smart urban planning, green buildings, clean transport, and nature-based solutions. And if you're there thinking, okay, cool, but how does this help me? So stay ahead because we are going to discuss the type of jobs freshers can apply for, the skills they need for these jobs, and how you can actually be a part of building these future-friendly, sustainable, and smart cities. So whether you have studied engineering, architecture, commerce, management, or absolutely anything else, there is a space for everyone in this field. And trust me, sustainable cities is not just a climate conversation, but it's a massive career opportunity. So let's dive into the deeper question of why cities really matter when it comes to saving the planet, climate change, and sustainability, and literally reshaping our future ahead. So let's get started. Alright, so why are we talking about cities when we talk about saving the planet? Why can't we start with forest, ocean, or I don't know, convincing people to stop printing that 87-page PowerPoint presentation just to read one sentence? Now here's the crazy part. Cities cover only about 3% of Earth's total land surface. Just 3%. That's like the tiniest bit of slice in a pizza. But do you know what is this 3% responsible for? For over 70% of the GHG emissions, 80% of energy consumption, and house to over 4.4 billion people. That is more than half of the people that exist on Earth today. So basically, cities are the biggest source of climate problem today and the biggest solution that we can ever have. Cities are like that one friend in the party who eats everything and still says that they are hungry. So if you fix that one friend, your entire party is fixed. And here's the good news. Because people are concentrated in cities, improving them has the fastest impact. So if you can make your cities more green, more clean, more walkable, nature positive, we can reduce global emissions dramatically. Just improving public transport system can remove millions of cars from the road, or having urban greens and having urban plantation can reduce the entire neighborhood's temperature by 4 to 5 degrees Celsius. Redesigning building can cut energy usage by 60%, and cleaning up waste system can convert waste to resources instead of pollution. So if you want a livable future, cities are the place where the climate battle can either be won or lost. And the best part, the world needs thousands of young professionals to redesign the city to make them livable. Yes, that means you can literally get paid to work and help design cities that have clean air, greener spaces, and smarter systems. Okay, so first, let's understand what do sustainable cities actually look like. Because when I say sustainable cities, a lot of people imagine something like flying cars, floating buildings, or robots walking all around the city. But let me tell you, Sustainable cities are not sci-fi. They are much more simple. They are cities who put people and planet first instead of car and concrete. So let me paint a picture in front of you of how sustainable cities look like for your imagination. So the first one are buildings that behave like living organisms. Yes, now, these are buildings who are not just pretty looking, but also do something which is super useful. Like they generate solar energy from rooftops or window, collect rainwater, cool themselves with smart design, recycle waste, reduce energy consumption by up to 60%. So instead of being buildings that are like your lazy roommate who does nothing, these buildings are actually like your topper friends who do everyone's project. Now, these cities are filled with green spaces. Imagine walking out of your house and seeing trees, mini forest, gardens, and even farms on rooftops. There are trees around that clean air and also improve your mental health because being stuck in traffic for 2 hours already does a lot of mental damage. These cities are walkable and cycling friendly. Now, a sustainable city is a place where walking is normal and safe and cycling is easy and not a death wish. Imagine cities that do not have potholes size of a swimming pool and cars are not behind you to murder you. People can walk to work, children can go safely to schools by their own, and where the rich use public transport instead of having their own private cars. Because hey, these cities have much easier public infrastructure rather than making people own their private vehicles. And obviously, walking more or cycling more is equal to less pollution and healthier people. And obviously, having a public transport system that is more reliable. So these cities will have metros, buses, trams, and shared mobility at a very convenient and walking distance. It is said that a transit-oriented city will have at least one mode of public transport station available within a radius of 800 meters to 1 kilometers. So these cities actually have buses which transport you from one place to another rather than waiting on a bus stop for 40 minutes and the bus passing you like you are invisible. A sustainable city is designed to move people and not vehicles and cars. These cities have smart waste and circular economy. Imagine a city where waste does not pile up in landfills or rivers and instead recycling and composting is normal part of everyday life. Here waste becomes a resource, plastic becomes a building material, organic waste is composted and landfills are turned into parks. These cities are like sponge cities where the city absorbs rainwater like a sponge instead of flooding the city every monsoon. And here rainwater is captured with the help of wetlands, ponds, permeable parking, groundwater recharge pits, rainwater harvesting on rooftops, and stopping floods by storing rainwater and making it usable all round the year. So in short, sustainable cities are not some high-tech fantasy, but simple places designed for people to feel lively, for the planet to breathe, and for children to play safely in green areas. And I'm sure by now you must be thinking that, hey, this looks good on a Pinterest board or on TED Talks, but do such cities actually exist? So let us take some examples from cities around the world and understand how they have been working to make themselves sustainable. So fasten your seat belts because it's time for a little world tour without passport to a few sustainable cities around the world. Now, the first one is Singapore or the Garden City. Now, Singapore is not a city which has gardens in it, but rather a garden which has some city inside it. Because Singapore has buildings covered in plants, rooftop gardens almost everywhere, smart water management system, recycling wastewater so efficiently that it becomes new water, and solar-powered vertical farms. They also have air purifying super trees. So these are giant tree-shaped structures that clean the air. Meanwhile, most of us are having a hard time keeping our indoor plants alive. The next one is Copenhagen, the biking capital of the world. And Copenhagen said, why do you need cars when you literally have legs? Now, Copenhagen has more bicycles than cars. 62% of the people commute by bicycles every day. They have a massive network of protected bike lanes and they aim to become the world's first carbon neutral capital city. And they have literally built cycling highways. Cycling here feels like a normal activity rather than the feeling of participating in Hunger Games. The next one is Curitiba in Brazil. Now, Curitiba has transformed the city in a number of ways, and you can check out my video on Curitiba here to know how they changed this city and made it a more sustainable city. The next city is not from Europe or America, but it's actually from Africa. So Rwanda in Africa is one of the most sustainable cities in the world, and you can check out the full video on Rwanda to see how they changed themselves, where sustainability was a survival tool rather than luxury. The next city is Seoul in South Korea. Now, Seoul literally had a huge highway few years back. It was noisy, ugly, and polluted. But what did they do of it? They literally removed the highway and rebuilt the natural river under it. And with all of this, they built more than 10 kilometers of walking pathway around the river, due to which the temperature of the neighborhood dropped by 3 to 5 degrees Celsius. And naturally, there was a boost in tourism. They literally deleted a highway and upgraded the city like a software. The next one is Indore, India's clean city champion. And yes, we do have a sustainable city right in our home country. Indore has been India's cleanest city for 7 years in a row. Here, segregation of waste is done at source, composting and recycling is done at a massive scale, and waste is turned into usable resource like biogas, fertilizers, and building material. Indore proves that when government, citizens, and technology comes together, transformation is possible. So yes, we have examples of sustainable cities everywhere, right from developed countries to developing nations, from rich countries to poor countries. Everyone, if they strive, can have sustainable cities. Now, this brings us to the next and the most important questions of what type of jobs can freshers look at if they want to work on making cities sustainable. And the good news is there are a lot of openings coming up for freshers in the field of sustainable cities and city transformation. And you literally don't need 10 years of experience or PhD, because there are so many different type of roles which literally requires freshers, and you can start gaining experience hands-on right from day one. So let's understand some of these roles. So the first role is sustainable urban planner. Now, if you're someone who's studying architecture, civil engineering, or urban planning, you can apply for these roles. And you obviously have your degree in architecture, engineering, urban planning, or town planning. And if you enhance it with some knowledge related to sustainability, you are already eligible for this role. The next one is GIS analyst. Now, GIS is like Google Maps, but on a Pro Max mode. So GIS can actually help in planning land use, roads, transport, green cover, risk zones, everything related to cities. And if you know softwares like QGIS or ArcGIS, you can obviously be hired in so many roles. And if you back it up with some knowledge of data analysis, you would actually be unstoppable. So GIS is your next go-to skill that you need to add in your resume, and not just add but also learn it. The next one is green building specialist, like a lead specialist or a GRIHA specialist. So if you're specially an architect, urban designer, or civil engineer, you can appear for exams like IGBC AP or LEED AP or GRIHA, and then become a green building consultant or a green building architect or engineer. The next one is urban mobility and transport planning specialist. Now, if you're someone who has already studied urban planning, you can further specialize in transportation planning. And with India having so much of boom for new transport systems being designed, new railways and roadways coming up, a lot of openings, especially in the government sector, are coming up for these roles. So have a look at that state road transport or national road transport website to check if there is any new opening coming up. The next one is waste management or circular economy expert. And with sustainability being one of the most important criteria in a lot of companies are coming up with internal circular economy or waste management experts, wherein they are recycling and reusing their own waste. So if you're someone who has inclination towards waste management, this is one of the best options to consider for you. And also, these openings are coming up in a lot of state pollution control boards, city level municipalities, and even national level pollution control boards, because they want to design policies for cities, states, and regions to recycle their waste. So if you are interested in policy planning and waste management, you must check out the state and national pollution control board website website for openings. And then we have government internships and fellowships. So like the CM fellowships or the PM fellowships, which keep coming up in different states, cities, or at national level for designing smart and sustainable cities. So you can check the Smart City Fellowship, the Niti Aayog Fellowship if you are interested in government specific roles. And now I know the big question is, where do you actually find these jobs? So first of all, you can look at consulting firms like Big Four who act as advisors to different government bodies. You can also check on the government websites themselves, because the government sometimes hire consultants directly with the respective departments. You can work with real estate and construction companies, because these companies are also designing sustainable cities or sustainable townships. You can work with climate tech startups, NGOs, or also work in urban planning specialized firms who provide consultation, especially on urban planning related topics. Okay, and now that we know all of this, let's understand what we can do as individuals to make our cities more sustainable, because sustainable cities are not made by that one big decision, but millions of small decisions which are taken every day by ordinary citizens like you and me to see the real change and real impact. So the first one is choose public transport, walking or cycling whenever possible. Now, every time you choose bus, walking, metro or cycling over your own car, you reduce emissions, you reduce traffic, and you also support cleaner city planning. And walking and cycling not just make the city healthier, but they make you healthier as well, physically and mentally. And you also end up saving a lot of money that you would have otherwise spent on petrol or diesel. The next one is supporting policies and projects that improve cities. So when you cast your next vote in the elections, make sure it is for the right candidate who is supporting sustainable growth. Sign for sustainability related petitions to show that you care for the planet and your city, and always ask that real question to your leaders about what they want to do about sustainability and what they actually are doing about sustainability. The next one is segregate waste and compost organic waste. So waste segregation starts at home. You can start basic by segregating dry waste and wet waste. And once you have achieved this level of segregation, you can then segregate plastic, metal, glass at home, send plastic and metal for recycling, and only send the absolute disposable waste which cannot be recycled to the landfill. The next one is support local and sustainable business. Now, if you see your local next door shops having sustainable products procured locally from local farmers, then support their business. Support fruits and veggies which are grown locally and organically, rather than opting for avocados which come all the way from other part of the world, because this not just makes you healthy but also keeps the planet healthy by reducing emissions. So with this, we come to an end to today's video. You can also check out my sustainable cities series here, where we have discussed about different cities and how they can be made sustainable. And let me know in the comments below how you liked today's video, and do let me know in the comments below what are some other topics that you would like me to cover. And if you yourself live in a sustainable city, do let us know in the comments below what your city is doing to make it sustainable, green and clean, so that other cities can be inspired by your city. And till we come back with another video, stay impactful, stay gen sustainable. Bye bye.